If you missed number 13, I need you to pause it and write down everything on this screen. Okay, hopefully you have it all written down. So, y equals mx plus b. M is the slope. Whatever slope is always with the x. So, like, write this down. If I gave you 3x plus 6, that means 3 is the slope. I want this written in your notes. 3 is the slope. B is the y-intercept. So, right here at the end, 6 is going to be your y-intercept. So, let's do this first example. Write the equation with a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of -1. So the equation would be y equals, you need to write this down, your slope is 2, so that's going to go with the x, 2x, and your y-intercept is -1. So that is the equation of the line with a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of -1. All right, let's do the next one. Again, you should have this problem written down. So y equals, the slope is -5. That's what goes with the x. So -5x. The y-intercept is 0. You could leave it like this, or you could put +0. I'm okay with both answers. On your EOC, it's probably going to look like this. They're not going to put the +0. They're going to put y equals -5x. So there's examples 1 and 2. If you missed number 13, I want you to write down the following 6 problems and the answer. So you need to write the equation for number 1, and then you can write, I want you to write out the answer. I want you to tell me slope is blank and y-intercept is blank for 1 and 2 and 3. Write the question and tell me what the slope is and what the y-intercept is. For 4, 5, and 6, I want you to do just like I did in the example, okay? I want you to write down the equation, and then what the answer is. These ordered pairs, this just means y-intercept. Remember on your graph, the y-intercept is an ordered pair, and it's always going to go 0 and then a number. So these 3, even though it looks different from what I did on the front page, these are all your y-intercepts. So your y-intercept's -8, your y-intercept's -7, your y-intercept is 7. So please pause it and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And also, if you missed number 13, I want you to write down what you think the correct answer should have been and why you think you missed it. Number 14, I need you to pause it and write down everything on this page. All right? So the notes, if you multiply or divide by a negative, you need to flip the inequality. You can also type it into y equals and at least find what the answer should be, and then you can figure out the inequality. So I'm going to do it both ways and kind of show you. So example 1, I want to get x by itself. Well, these are dividing, and the opposite of dividing is multiplying. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. You need to write this down in your notes. So x is less than or equal to, and 5 times 2 is 10. So the answer right there is C. Let's say your brain, you just forget, honestly, when you get to your EOC. Well, if you remember, a couple weeks ago, I showed you how to solve equations on your calculator. Same thing works here. So I can do x divided by 2, and then I see an inequality. And remember, like, if we pretend it was an equal sign, what did I tell you to do if you see an equal sign? I told you to hit enter, and that'll take you down to the second line, and then you type in the rest. So I got x divided by 2. I saw the inequality, which is kind of like an equal sign, so I hit enter, and then I type the last part into y2. I'm going to graph it. I want to figure out where they cross, so I'm going to do second trace. I'm going to go down to intersection number 5. I'm going to hit enter 3 times. So it enters at 10. So now at least I know it's C or D, right? Okay, because we don't care about the y value. We care about what x is. So x is 10. And then you can just look and say, did I multiply or divide by a negative? No, I didn't. Everything in this problem is positive. So my inequality would stay the exact same. So C would still be your answer. So let's look at -2. I'm going to do it in the calculator instead of worrying about actually solving them. So I have -5x. I see an inequality, so I'm going to hit enter. And then I got 45. I'm going to graph it. Now I cannot see where they cross, so I'm going to zoom out. Zoom 3, enter. That will zoom us out. Still can't see it. So I'm going to do zoom out some more, zoom 3, enter. There it is. So let's do second trace, 5, enter, enter, enter. And I got -9. Well, that didn't help because they both say -9. So let's look at our rule. Did we multiply or divide by a negative? Well, I would have to move this 5, which is a negative. So yes, I'm going to actually divide by a negative. So this inequality should flip. So B should be your answer. All right, let's look at 3. I'm going to type it in. So I got -5x minus 12 and -6x minus 4. Let's graph them. And second trace, 5, enter, enter, enter. So at least I know my answer is 8. Okay, my answer would be 8. So hopefully that could tell you the answer if it just has the problem with 8. But if not, let's see if I would multiply or divide by negative. So my first step would be to move this 6x over here. And the opposite of a minus is a plus. So -5 plus 6, move over here, gives me a 1x minus 12. And then these cancel, and I got -4. You should be writing this down too. You'd move your 12 over by doing plus 12. Write this down. So I'd have 1x and 8. And no, I did not divide or multiply by a negative. I added 12 and I added 6. So my inequality should not flip. All right, let's do these down at the bottom. Let's see here, 25x minus 10. And 5 parentheses 4x minus 6. And I'm going to zoom back to normal. So I'm going to zoom 6. Standard gets you back to normal. Okay, look at these lines. These lines are parallel, right? Parallel. What do parallel lines mean? Parallel lines mean there is no solution. So this is where graphing it really, really helps you. Parallel lines have no solution. So that example 4 has no solution. So you should have everything on this page written down. If you missed number 14, I want you to write down the following 5 problems and the answer. So for number 1, I want you to write down the question and then write down what the answers should be. For 1 through 5. Pause it and do these. And then if you missed number 14, you also need to write down what you think the correct answer should have been and why you think you missed it.